So I have this here pool noodle that I plan on recycling, and it has seen better days. So for starters, the tools of choice are just a simple regular kitchen knife and some black paint of choice and a sponge brush, and that's all you're going to be needing. First things first, you're going to guesstimate the size of your little candle pillar by cutting it at an angle, and you're going to want to come in at the bias ever so gently with your knife, and it cuts just like butter. Now feel free to go on ahead and measure your pillars, but I'm doing it by eyeball. Now taking the noodle that I just cut and placing it on top, I'm going to come down about 1/4 inch from the tip, and I'm going to cut down, making it slightly a bit lower than the first pillar, and I'm going to repeat this process. So clearly I'm putting together my grouping by continuing on the process of coming down a notch each time I make a cut. And then once I get my little grouping to the desired amount of candle pillars that I want, all that's left is to hit it with a coat of that black chalk paint. So it's not rocket science. I just wanted to get on here and just show at least me painting one noodle. And this is the better route. Life lesson learned. Never ever spray paint pool noodles. That'll just dissolve them. And so using chalk paint with the sponge technique, as you see me applying here, is the better route. So I'm just going to continue painting all of my pillars and allowing them dry time so that I could set up my little display. Here's how it all came together. Once I allowed my pillars to dry, I took some flameless votive tea lights from the Dollar Tree and I painted them with the same black chalk paint that I used on the pillars to give it a more realistic appearance, and I displayed it here in this little vignette that I created using all Dollar Tree products. So from the Dollar Tree, you're going to grab yourself one of these here art canvases, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to remove the staples from the backing. And I'm using a simple paring knife just to lift up underneath the staples, if you will, and then I'm using a combination of both my needle nose pliers and a wire cutter to remove all of the staples and get that canvas backing off of the frame. Now you can cut around it if you choose to, and you don't want to go through the trouble of taking off all the staples because it's tedious, but in the interest of having it look store-bought and polished, I decided to take the more difficult route, and this is an 8x10 frame in case you're wondering. And so what I'm going to be creating here is a reverse canvas, if you will. So once I get all my staples out, then we're ready to move on. Now that the tedious task of removing all those staples is out the way, we can now proceed to take off that canvas and reveal the beauty that lies underneath. And this is real wood, guys, so you can stain it, paint it, do whatever you want. Treat it just like real wood, because it is. And so here's that canvas in one piece, and we're going to keep that and put it to the side because we're going to be using it. So now we're ready to move on. So now my wooden frame is ready for treatment, and I have this here serum coat black paint, and I was down to the last of it. There was like less than 1/4 inch at the bottom of the container, so I mixed it with water, and so I have a watered down version, and I'm going to use it in place of a stain. So I'm going to be pouring some of this watery liquid, if you will, onto the wood, and I'm just going to brush it with my sponge brush, and then I'm going to come in with a paper towel and I'm going to wipe off most of it because I still want to see some of that natural wood underneath. And I do apologize for being partially out of frame. My tripod actually slid down without me noticing it until it was time to upload this video. But you get the gist of it. I'm just using this watery substance, smoothing it out with the sponge brush, and then I'm wiping it down with the paper towel to get a nice stain finish on the wood. Oh my gosh, my apologies, guys. I'm so blind I can't see. I had to bring that canvas up as close to me as possible so that I could make sure to stay within the lines, if you will, that I was totally out of frame. But basically, you're just going to follow the line of the creases that was, originally on that canvas and cut that entire edging off. So while I'm giving my frame some dry time, I went ahead and I cut out this vinyl using my cutting machine now that I cut off all the edges of my canvas. So now what's left to do is to adhere the vinyl. So now I'm going to remove that decal from its backing to transfer that image onto the canvas. And I'm simply just taking it off as such, and I'm going to apply it right smack in the center. Coming in at a diagonal, I'm going to peel up that transfer tape and I'm going to apply pressure to the canvas itself as I'm peeling up that transfer tape to reveal my image. Here's a look at that vinyl now that it's completely transferred onto the canvas and ready to move on. And now here's a quick look at that frame that we're going to be applying it to, and I'm loving the way that natural wood is just peeking through. Feel free to reattach it with the staple gun if you wish, but I'm simply going to be tacking it down using my regular hot glue gun by adding a bead of hot glue all along the trim of that frame and attaching the canvas. And there you have it. Now that it's all nice and tacked down, this is what you should be left with. And if you have any excess overage on the side, all you have to do is trim it down with your scissors or an X-Acto knife and you should be good to go. So here I'm showing that I purchased a second canvas and I repeated the same steps twice to make it a cohesive set, which I'm going to be sharing that second image with you. As mentioned, here's a look at that second image, making this a set and pairing of two. Well, that's it, guys. This concludes this DIY. I hope you enjoyed and I inspired you. Happy crafting on a budget.